I want to know some of your experiences that you've had with customers that continue to reinvigorate your passion for what you do, bringing water back to life, and what you've done with Ionizer.
Well, it really goes back to when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was already at that stage in a place in life where I wouldn't have to work that much anymore, financially.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across this water, and I was a psychotherapist at the time. And I thought, wow, this sounds so incredibly amazing what that promises to do.
Mm.
And because in my heart, I'm a guy who wants to actually better the world in the sense of contribute towards bettering the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, it's all very well to be sort of semi-retired already. I was quite a bit younger then, yeah, but I could have done that if I wanted to. It's all very well to do that, but actually that touches me.
Mm.
And so I thought I'm going to look into this. And on the journey to look into that, I found out more and more that is true.
Mm.
What they promise, those suppliers of those water ionizers and alkaline water. And the more I then got encouraged to actually try this on myself, just to make myself a guinea pig, and I've talked about this before, also wrote a long testimonial in 2009 or whenever it was, about my journey of 3 months trialing and making myself a guinea pig.
Mm.
And what I found out, and I was pretty healthy chappy, yeah, but it just did something to me that just, brought me another level.
Mm.
And I thought, well, this is amazing that this can do this, yeah.
Yeah.
And that propelled me to really get into it more. And eventually, I gave up my work as a psychotherapist, and really focused on actually reaching a lot more people with just drinking this water, making changes to their health, like changes to their cellular health, which then propels, of course, a whole raft of other health in the body, because the organs are supplied with good blood. Yeah. And then when the blood has got happy blood cells, then of course the organs get the best out of it, right? It's quite simple.
Yeah.
And so I noticed people get suddenly, after drinking that water for a few months, they notice a massive increase of energy.
Mm.
After a few months, people notice they suddenly don't have that much pain anymore in their joints.
Yeah.
Hello, arthritis. Suddenly the inflammation is reducing.
Mm.
It's amazing. I mean, when somebody would have told me that before, you're all right.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
Or maybe you just want to send me a machine or something, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's not like that. It was really such an heartening revelation to see these people coming back with testimonials, because they had nothing to lose anymore, nothing to gain. They already made that experience over a few months. And said, hey, Joseph, this is amazing. Thank you so much. It really changed our life. It really helped us to now improve in our health, have more energy again. Before I was quite depressed often because I had hardly any energy. Now I get out of bed in the morning and I go.
Yeah.
Things like that. Or quite classic, people had issues with gout.
Yeah.
And that's really massively painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is also a very classic condition of being too acidic in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the arthritis too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people called me on the phone and asked me, hey, I see that this water can do something about gout. Is it really true? I said, look, it is true, but you need to do one thing. What is that? You need to drink the water religiously, 2 liters minimum, fresh from the machine every day, spit out through the day.
Yeah.
Can you do that? If it does something, I will. And I said, I want to hear from you in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And they come back and say, Joseph, thank you. And he wasn't an ordinary bloke. That was obvious. And he must have picked up our jug, Alka Jug, at the expo, probably the Auckland Home Show or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he went home with it, and he started, obviously spoke to us, and he encouraged him to, if you want to make a difference, not just drink 1 cup of tea with it, so drink some real water, not just a half a liter, drink at least 1.5 liters, and so on. And he came back and he just said, well, it changed my life totally. My arthritis is gone.
Amazing.
My arthritis is gone. And I'm totally sold, and I'm telling everybody about it. Things like that.
Yeah.
Having drunk ionized water for so many years, went to a deep blood
like analysis
test done. See the blood like images in front of me, how the blood as it moves. And then she says suddenly, "Oh my God." So, oh my God, is it back then? I was really disturbed.
Worried.
I can't afford to suddenly show them what blood is shit.
I know, like putting everything on display.
Well, what's happening with my good water? So I resigned after that,
Yeah.
And she said, "No, it's the opposite. It's amazing. I hadn't seen blood like that for ages."
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And so I said, "But what makes it so good?" Yeah, but they are totally in movement. Like she said, blood needs to be like in serum, like ping pong balls. It needs to be swirling around like ping pong. It's free, not being clogged together. And she said, your blood is just like nearly perfect.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're not going to die of a blood clot?
No, not at the moment.
You should get it tested again.
Yeah,
Are you still drinking ionized water?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, there's a few testimonials that when someone's had that experience, they end up becoming an advocate for all of their loved ones.
Yes. I summarize a little bit about the effects in the body and sort of changes to people's suffering. Arthritis is a big one. Lots of people are suffering in the world with arthritis because of their lifestyle, not just food and drinks, but also lifestyle. And particularly when they get over the 40 and 40s, then they can creep up. And particularly then getting older, over 60, and it gets even worse, and so on. So there's been hundreds and hundreds, I would say thousands really, yeah. I don't want to say it quite like that because I can't prove it. I haven't just counted it. Yeah, but there have been loads of testimonials of people just thanking us for that really made a difference to their suffering.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, because that's really what it is. It's a form of suffering. And you've got pain levels that accompany us every day. Yeah, and you do something about it by taking some paracetamol or lie in bed because you can't dare to actually move your body, or that's all a form of suffering. And yes, you can manage it a bit, but it's actually more a surface mitigation. As with the water, that is actually a deep tissue deep tissue intervention.
Yeah.
And when you do it all continuously, like religiously in some way, by drinking that water fresh from the ionized water tap, for example, and let's say 2 liters minimum a day, then becomes a maintenance thing to just give you good health and wellness and energy and not suffering.
Yeah.
And really, that has been my experience on and on again, and people actually really took it seriously, and they started drinking the water fresh from the machine. They improved on all sorts of levels, even to the extent that next year there were people coming back from the last year's visit at the Auckland Home Show, for example, and then suddenly mom and dad and the 2 teenage kids, and one of them says, "Hey, do you remember?" They say, what is it? Yeah, Dad was really grumpy, and now he's not anymore.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, like, the progressive adaptation that we manage, like, without thinking, that we navigate through, brings our emotional home becomes, it just lowers. And so, I mean, I always love the clarity of mind that the water gives me, but that's like the end of your journey. Once you've got rid of the pain, you're completely hydrated, you're feeling really healthy, and then you get this beautiful clarity of mind when you've got full hydration. It's like your mind or your soul is on the surface of your eyeballs, and you're like interacting with the world on a much more like intuitive, because your body's turned on. And so your mind is operating, but your body's also playing this game of life. And so, in that, to me, it's like the peak performance. Because my experience with water is always like, I've always been really healthy, but now I'm really hydrated, and it's that subtle detail that is so important when it comes to my emotional regularity, because I can easily get down. I've got a lot of negative thoughts going on in my mind, but when my body is at its peak, it's much easier to be healthy and vibrant. Like I'm a different person.
Totally.
Yeah, my husband often talks about how I'm there's two of me. Like there is the me that's on form and in flow and loves like communicating with people and engaging. Like I'm there, I'm ready, I'm so open. Yes. And then there is the other withdrawn me. It doesn't have much to say. Yes. And it finds it really hard to get out there. And I'm not saying that that's just because I drink ionized water. I know that full hydration with quality water gets me there.
It really supports you, right?
Yeah, it supports that self.
That general.
Yeah. How your body rehydrates the different organs in a priority order. And so first to your brain, because that's essential, and then self. And then when he mentioned that the last parts are these little discs in between the vertebrae and your back. And it made me realize, like, shiz, I've really got to drink all that water to make it to the little discs in my back. You can live dehydrated. In fact, we dehydrate as we age, and you adapt. You just become better at operating without water. What one person would consider pain, the other person's like, no, this is just what my body feels like. Yes. Increasing that water intake needs to be done over a period of time, so your body can adapt to the extra water.
I had an accident. I had a really bad back as a result. Really bad. And I couldn't sit on a chair without having some kind of lumbar support in the back and so on. But with the ionized water, I would swear it was that, It all came right again.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've had a customer call up recently. I don't even know how they found the Alka Jug because they're not our customer. They didn't know anything about water.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they bought the Alka Jug and they feel terrible. And they've got diabetes in the family. They had a raft of issues. And they were only drinking like 2 or 3 glasses a day to work themselves up because they hadn't been drinking water before. And so they were getting all of these detoxification symptoms.
So they were not drinking no water
I don't think so. They were having like teas and stuff.
And then they detox.
Yeah, and so their body was not coping with the water very well. And she was like, this product is dangerous. She had looked online. And she must have been reading about ionized water and the dangers of it. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
And I was like, look, I mean, it's your body. You've got to feel into your own body. And I definitely am not a doctor. So I can't, you may have something in there that is not, like maybe alkaline water isn't good for you. Maybe it is. Maybe, I don't know, but I do know that you need to be drinking at least 2.4 litres of water a day. So you should probably continue with the drinking of the water, whatever kind of water you can get. And I would encourage you to maybe push through a little bit because the Alka Jug's not dangerous. Like it's quite subtle. It's not like an ionizer machine can be quite different to your water. But this
more
is
grunty.
just, more gruntier. Yeah. This is just mineral ionization. It's very soft and delicate, and it may be that your symptoms are detoxifying. It may not be, but if I was you, and feel into your body, do what you think is best. But if you can push through and, just really work on drinking that water, you might find that things will change. And I offered her to keep the jug for another month, and then she could return it in a month, and I would give her money back. But I didn't want to just take that jug back without it. It had been 3 or 4 days as well. So I was like,
very short.
Right at the beginning. And so I haven't heard from her since, actually. I need to touch base, but she hasn't returned it. So I don't know.
But my assessment, you were totally right. Yeah. Particularly when they haven't drunk any water before and then suddenly start drinking alkaline water, the pH.
And then they went on Google and looked up, because these are mineral ionizers, they would have looked up ionized water and read some kind of, I don't know. You never know what you're going to find online.
Maybe some debunking of stuff.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, that's always something, as you know, to keep in mind on that. Some people who have not been privy to at least good water and hardly drank any water suddenly start drinking ionized water, even from the Alka Jug. They might get quite severe detox symptoms in the first days.
Yeah.
And so what we usually do is say, hey, just try to get some nice water, just normal water, and actually dilute it for the first few days. Maybe just half. Until you notice, okay, the body can cope, and then you build it up.
Yeah, I've seen some marketing that promises a huge range of benefits that not everyone's going to experience, and so it is false advertising.
Some people got onto foreign websites, like the American websites, that they came back and then they suggested that what we do is the same, as in the same promises. We said, look, we are our own company. We don't subscribe to necessarily to the same promises what other companies do that have similar products. And we are also more conservative in what we actually put out. So it's actually for your benefit at the end that you look into what we offer you in our communication. We had people definitely that had issues being like on Auckland tap water, for example, just because they moved to Auckland suddenly within 2-3 weeks, they suddenly got hyperthyroid issues. And that's terrible. And what it does mean, it's really playing with the energy. It means also you lose some of your eyebrows on the end. They literally fall out. Things like that. But I mean, that would be the most terrible thing. So for women, it's of course not a nice thing to suddenly see that something is happening to their beauty. But it's really about the mucking around with their energy levels, and also being internally not balanced. Like I've got some kind of, I don't know whether you can sort of. I've never had it, so I can't really speak from my own experience. But I know my previous partner had that, and like you're not feeling right in your body. It's something like the clock is not ticking normal anymore. It's like tick tock, tick tock. So
kind of like
disturbing,
my good friend of mine, who got me onto Ionizer originally, she was eliminating all of the toxins in her life because she had chronic fatigue. She had it for 7 years, but she went through a huge journey with the hospitals. It's become more and more recognised. I'm not sure if it's become worse or just more recognised, but like can't get out of bed, couldn't even lift the spoon to fill it. And I mean, it's really complex. It's not sure the fact that she used the Alka Total system that cured her, but like there's so many things. But
she got better.
She got better. Fluoride was a big concern for her. She doesn't know what caused it, but well, now she thinks it's a stress thing.
Like people who are really mindful of that, they know that fluoride is not good for them, and that really it wouldn't be good for anybody other than for the people who want to have some support with their caries, like their gum health.
But then take that toothpaste.
Exactly. They should take toothpaste.
That really is the only benefit.
So because they don't want to drink that water and be kind of medicated like that, which is to them, as I said, not everybody gets hyperthyroid issues because of drinking fluoridated water. I want to really say that. But the ones that are vulnerable through their makeup, through their psychology, through their genes, through whatever reason that I'm not a doctor, contribute to that vulnerability. But it's bad enough that somebody is vulnerable, who gets it as a result of the fluoride. So therefore, they need really protection, and they. Because we've started early to get fluoride filters, which have been really effective, they really were able then to protect themselves. And so I want to say a big thank you to Igor, who has been supplying us in the States with those filters, because it's been a blessing for so many people who can't otherwise find drinking water that's other than lugging it in to remove the fluoride. There are other fluoride filters out in the industry, but they are usually based on alumina, which is aluminium. It basically is polluting the water again with that. Get one good thing happening, but then one bad thing,
or potentially.
That's right. Ionized fluoride filter is alumina free. That's a big bonus.
I think that people take water for granted so much these days. Water in general, but also the quality of water, the nuances between the different water types. And if we could, and we wouldn't be able to do this, but if we could shift everyone's focus just to water, eliminate everything else, then people would become much more aware of the differences in feeling into their body. And that appreciation would have people wanting to drink it more. I haven't had many experiences, as many as you, but I have had a good friend of mine, and he lives down the road, and he has cholesterol problems, and they needed to put statins in, and I don't know much about it, but I was like, look, I'm not a doctor, I don't know much, but can I just check your water? Because he was on drinking from the aquifer, and I wasn't sure. Maybe there was something in his water. At least that's something I could help with. And so I checked his water. His water was fantastic, and but it was a little bit acidic. I don't know how, because it was an aquifer, but I gave him the Alka Jug, and I was like, drink 2.4 litres every day and then see how you feel. And this led him down a path of like a water journey, and he got a book and he read this book. It was The Body's Many Cries for Water. And yes, he upped his water intake. Yeah, he upped his water intake, and it was like 3 months later, and my husband was like, oh, have you seen Jack lately? He's lost a whole bunch of weight. And I was like, no. He was like, yeah, he's gone harder with water. He says it's all water. And I'm like, what? And so I spoke to him, and he was like, you would not believe how much this has changed my life. All I have done is water. I've just increased my water, the amount that I'm drinking, and I've lost a bunch of weight. Like, he looks completely different now. And he halved his cholesterol. So he doesn't have any cholesterol problems now. It's amazing. So this is my beautiful story that I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much motivation that you get from hearing these stories. Yes. Yeah, and what I don't like reading is when people are like, oh, you're just selling the ionizers or Kangen machines are just a money-making machine. Like, kind of like you're trying to fool someone into spending lots of money and it's just water. And I think if I had no knowledge and I had some trauma from sales, then I would probably think the same thing. But it's like so heart-wrenching hearing those things when, like you, I was at a time in my life where it was kind of like, what am I going to do to give back? I don't need to have business to make money anymore, but I do want to make an impact. Yes. And how better can you make an impact than via a business? And this was the most, I didn't know much about water. Well, I thought I did, but I didn't know much about water when I first bought the business. And every day I learn a little bit more and I become more and more passionate about what I'm doing. And I never expected that. I thought I had all the passion that I could possibly need. But there is like there's crappy days with business. You know, business isn't easy. And so for me, if I didn't back what I was doing and really think that it was making a difference, then I wouldn't be continuing with this. Like, I totally would not be doing this. Yeah, I wouldn't have made it through all of the challenges of business without it. Yeah.
It's an interesting one, how actually something like nearly like a spiritual revelation in myself of want to do something good for humankind, and knowing that does something good, even against the odds that people say, how dare you to sell something like that on the internet? It says it's just a con. Yeah. And how dare you sell it? They said, well, actually, what you are reading is not true. You just basically got manipulated by somebody who has a higher interest to actually poo-poo this because of some ulterior motives, which we don't know. But that's the reason why it's there.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you know, you can get all of these benefits, but it's not a promise because your body is just as complex as water. And so we can't say, oh, you're never going to get arthritis.
Yes.
Because you might do. I don't know what you're eating. I don't know what your environment is like, but I do know that you're putting your best foot forward, having the best quality water.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. And so I can also see how people might have invested a hefty amount of money in setting themselves up with quality water and then not got the results because of everything else in their environment.
I totally agree. I mean, if somebody is a totally stressed on in their whole psychology makeup, and doesn't transform that, so therefore he or she are going to be stressing and producing a lot of acidity in the body constantly because that's what it does. Then alkaline ionized water is remedying a little, but not much, probably not much to make a real difference.
Yeah.
Whereas, or when somebody drinks 10 cups of coffee every day, hello, I mean, that's very acidifying and very stressful for the body to drink that much coffee. Some people do.
Yeah.
And then you can't expect that will make a total revolution in their health.
And I think the good thing about having invested in your water is you're more invested in drinking it. And so you've got a double whammy. So by focusing on the quality of your water and making sure that it is at its best quality, then you're more likely to reach for a water than you would be a wine when you come home from work, because you can feel into the benefits of the water, and just by those experiences, you're making better health decisions. Yeah, that's what I found anyway. Especially with like the hydrogen water jug, when you can see it swirls around, you can see the bubbles, it's got a light, and so my kids demand hydrogen water.
They like it, huh?
Yeah, it's like a treat. Yeah, they drink it. They probably don't know the difference, and the taste is just water, but they want hydrogen water because they've seen it in action.
Yeah, there's some difference. It's actually visually noticeable, yes.
Yeah, and I think because of this visual, because water is clear and still, and it's not coloured, like all of those microscopic details that change are fast forgotten.
Yeah, or not visible.
They're not visible, exactly.
Yeah, and therefore it's just not convincing. Why would that be different?
Yeah, and then and you can't see what's happening on a molecular scale, especially in a machine that's completely covered. You don't know what's going on in there, but at least with a hydrogen jug and the hydrogen bottle, you can see some of that happening.
Very true.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm just thinking about another lady. She used to be down from Christchurch. Her husband was a property developer. She contacted us and asked us, so, Joseph, do you think this could help me in any way with my immune disorder? I asked her, what do you feel? I said, I'm just really negative. I'm just not well and struggling to get out of bed and haven't got much energy, and I'm getting quite depressed because of all that, and I need something to make a change. And do you think that would help? Well, I think it would, because good water, and particularly ionized water, alkaline water, would definitely have a good shot at making a change. How far that goes, you have to try. So she said, well, I don't see myself being able to invest in an ionizer at this stage, but how about I start with an Alka Jug? By all means, it's a good start. You can always
move up from there.
That's right. So she bought that Alka Jug, and I remember it so well because she came back a few months later and said, Josie, don't produce this. I'm so much better.
Amazing.
And I said, wow. I wouldn't have bet on it.
No. Yeah.
It makes such a difference to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it would do the same to everybody who's got an immune disorder. Of course not. It wouldn't dare to promise something like that. But that it makes a difference, or potentially is definitely worth trying. Yeah.
Totally. Like, and that's the whole thing. You don't know the experience somebody is going to have.
So she actually came back for years buying the Alka Jug cartridges.
Yeah. And
kept herself going, and really also improved basically to the level where she could manage herself quite nicely.
Yeah.
And then she moved away from Christchurch, and obviously must have made a bit of money herself.
Yeah.
And upgraded to Ionizer.
Oh, amazing. Cool. Yeah, I think that's what happens. You become so much more appreciative of the water. Like, investing in it makes sense. It's, if you're going to be, there was one testimonial there, and they were saying that for them, the ionizer was quite expensive and the filters and stuff, but because it makes such difference to their health, it's just a given. It's like, you invest in supplements and medication. If I think, at a fundamental level, if you don't have a healthy diet and good hydration, you really need to be looking at that before it becomes, before looking at everything else. Like, have your fundamentals there. Yeah, good fresh air, water, and maybe food. Not so important.
I'm just thinking about coffee because when I came to New Zealand, coffee culture was hardly there. It was 35 years ago.
And it's quite aesthetic there.
And now it's everywhere. And lots of people can't live without a cup of coffee or sometimes two or three of them a day, right? So, but particularly when they then also are actually dependent on having to get it from a store or a coffee shop or whatever.
Yeah.
And they pay at least, these days now, $5-6,
Yeah.
So it's gone up quite massively. And then let's say they get that 300 days in a year, not 365, but 300 days in a year they get it from a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But hello, that's $1,500 for one cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, what do you get for $1,500 a year?
Oh, you get a lot from that.
Yeah, so basically in 2 years your Ionizer is paid off. And after that you're winning because the filters cost you maybe $160 or 220 depending on what kind of Ionizer they have and how much water they drink. But anyway, it's they get money back into the if they give that up and change over to tea at home, whatever, and something more healthier, then they win on so many fronts.
So many fronts. And, you know, I've noticed that because I like coffee, I like the culture, I like the experience, the process. There's something about waking up in the morning and just having like a step-by-step process to make something nice for yourself.
Yes.
And I've noticed without even thinking about it, but I have created the most convoluted way to create a cup of water first thing when I get into the office here. I go in, I fill up my the Alka Jug, which has been filtered already through the Ultra because we've got water from the stream. So that's already been filtered. That goes into the Alka Jug. I let that pass through the cartridge, and then I pour it into the hydrogen water jug, and I put it through a magnetic cycle, so that mixes up all the water, and then I put it on a hydrogen. A high generation of hydrogen, so that takes a little bit longer than the like not so high hydrogen, and so then I put it through there. And by the time like I've gone and pressed the button 3 times or whatever, I am so thirsty. I'm so ready for this glass of water, and I don't know why I do this, but I'm thinking it's because of the process. I'm thinking like maybe I really want to treat myself.
Like a ritual.
It's a ritual. It's turned into a ritual. I don't need to do all of that. We've actually got pretty good water just out of the Alka Jug, but I love the ritual in creating this water, and now I do it every day, and it's like a gift as well. So when Gisette's here doing the dispatch or Charles here, I'm like, would you like this? Well, it's been through this and it's through that, and you know?
So enjoy it actually. Often.
I enjoy it. It's better than just giving them
like a little gift, eh?
Yeah. Water is so underrated by the majority of the population. And I wish it wasn't that case. If anything, that's my mission, to put water back on its pedestal. So then it's shifting the focus. There's so many other things that people can spend their money on. So many things that are actually bad for your health. I have got no qualms asking someone to invest in some kind of water rejuvenator.